In the previous lecture, we have seen different types of population attributes, and now in this lecture we are going to see the population interaction, different population interactions. We already know that, or we know that there are no species on this earth which can live in isolated condition. That means there are different species, but they are living together, they communicate with each other. That means every species or different species are living in the communities. That means they are living with different species and environment. So when they are living, they are communicate with each other, they are living together, they are interacting together. So as there are different species, there are different types of interactions in the population. So we are going to see that different types of population interactions in this lecture. So these interactions may be of mainly two types. One is the intraspecific interaction and second one is the interspecific interactions. Now, what is the meaning of intraspecific interaction? Intraspecific interactions means it is the interaction between the organisms of same species. For example, we will take the example of human-human interactions. Okay, humans are of same species. So they are interacting with each other, they are communicating with each other. It is the example of intraspecific interactions. Now, second one is the interspecific interaction. There are also interaction between the different species. So interspecific interaction means it is the interaction between the organisms of different species. For example, we will take the example of human and dogs, or we can call it all the pet animals. These type of interactions are called as interspecific interaction. So the interaction may be between the same species called as intraspecific, and maybe between the different species called as interspecific interactions. Now when we are talking about the interactions, for that interactions there are two of the major principles. Okay, two scientists who gives the principle for the interactions. One is the Gauss principle and second one is the Darwin's principle. Now Darwin's principle is what? Darwin's principle is that survival of the fittest. That means Darwin says that during the competition or in the environment, the species or the organisms who are fittest, they can only survive in the environment, and the weaker animals are going to loosen from the environment. That is called as survival of the who is strongest, they survive. Who is weaker, they are going to eliminated from the environment or the population. This is the Darwin's principle. Now coming to the second, Gauss principle. Gauss principle is what? The Gauss principle is that the two organisms competing with each other for the same resources cannot living together for longer period. That means the two organisms, okay, they are competing with each other for the same resources. One of the organism who is weaker, it is going to be eliminated, and one who is fittest, it is going to survive. That means Darwin's and Gauss principle is nothing but the same principle, that is survival of the fittest. That means one species who is fittest, it is going to survive, and one which is weaker is going to eliminate. So when we are going to see the interactions, first we will see one chart, so that what are the interactions we are going to study, the run-up of that interactions in this chart. So in this chart, the signs indicates, the positive sign indicates that the species is benefited. The negative sign indicates that the species is get harmed, and the 0 sign indicates that the species is not benefited or not harmed, that is neutral. So you can see the chart on your screen. In this chart 3 columns are there. First column is of interaction, second column is of species A, and third column is of species B. So interactions is minimum between the two organisms, so we consider the two organisms A and B. So we will take generally 6 major types of interactions. First of that, it is a mutualism. In the mutualism, both the species are get benefited. That means species A and species B are get benefited. Second one, it is nothing but the predation. Predation, where one species is benefited and one species is getting harmed. So species A is benefited, that is plus, and species B is harmed, that is negatives. The third type of interaction is same that of the predation, that is nothing but the parasitism. In the parasitism, also one species is benefited, one is harmed. Okay, so predation and parasitism are little bit same, but there are some differences we are going to see. Later. So fourth type of interaction, it is nothing but the competition. In the competition, there are both the species are getting harmed. That means in a competition, negate species A is harmed, that is negative, species B is harmed, that is negative. The fifth type of interaction, it is nothing but the commensalism. In the commensalism, one species is get benefited and other species is get neutral. That means it has no effects, neither benefited nor harmed. So one species is benefited and one species is harmed. One species A is positive sign and species B has 0 sign. And last one, it is nothing but the amensalism. It is the last type of interactions where one species is getting harmed and other species is not affected. That means neither benefited nor harmed. So these 6 types of interactions we are going to see. That is the follow of it is a summary of that interactions, which species is get benefited and which is harmed. So according to which this type of interactions are going to divide majorly into 4 parts. That is, either the species are both species are getting benefited, that is positive type of interactions. First one is the positive type of interaction. Then second one is the negative type of interactions. In the negative type of interactions, both the species or one of the species is going to both the species are going to harm. It is under the negative type of interaction. Then third category is both positive and negative type of interactions. Means one of the species is get benefited and one of the species is getting harmed. And fourth is called as neutralism. Such type of interaction doesn't occur in case of animals, because if both the species are unaffected, then there will not be any type of interaction. So these 6 interactions are divided into the positive interactions, negative interactions, both positive negative interactions, and last one is nothing but the neutral interaction. So we are going to take the examples one by one. So in that first type of interaction, it is nothing but the mutualism. Mutualism, it is also called as symbiosis. This is very interesting and very beneficial type of interaction in all that interactions, where as we see in the chart, in the mutualism both the species are get benefited. That means species A and species B are get benefited from each other. Species A benefits to the species B and species B benefits to the species A. and they are living together so that they are benefited to each other, and it is called as symbiosis or mutualism. We generally say that mutual understandings may be there. That means mutual understanding means to communicate with each other and both are beneficial to each other. The best example for the mutualism, it is nothing but the lichens. Okay, in the lichens is a combination of the algae and fungi. Okay, algae is the plant and fungi is a saprophyte. So algae can prepare their own food material, and how the food prepared by the algae, it is beneficial to the fungi because fungi cannot produce their own food material. So algae produce food which is beneficial to the fungi, and fungi keep the condition moisture. They store the water and keep moisture in that lichens, and that moisture, it is beneficial to the algae for the growing. So by beneficial by both the sides, algae gives food to the fungi, and fungi gives moisture to the algae. So both are dependent on each other. When they both are working, both beneficial to each other, and they can survive. In case of lichens, it is the best example of the mutualism. The second example on your screen is the cattle, and there are small birds they are living on their back. So whatever the parasites, whatever the small insects or parasites are living on the back or the skin of the cattle, that is eaten by that small birds. So how there is a mutualism? That is, the small birds get their food from the back of the cattle, and how the cattle is benefited? The parasites get removed from their body, so they are also having the beneficial benefit of that. So both are benefited of each other. If there are no birds, then parasites are there on their skin and it is harmed. And if there are no the cattle, the birds cannot get the food easily. So both are beneficial to each other. It is a type of mutualism. And mutualism is the best interaction among all the interactions, where both the species are going to benefited and no one species is going to harm. There are another examples in plants also. So many examples in the plants of mutualism, and so many examples of the animals of the mutualism. And in a community, if mutualism is there, the community is growing wider and wider, and there are no competitions for the resources and for the space and other conditions. So this is the first type of interactions. In the next lecture, we will see the remaining 5 types of the interactions in detail.